This is The Toss-Up, where we take a look at some of the topics facing the world of college sports and give a little bit of history behind some of them. We're not trying to change your mind. We just want to dive deeper into the topics that keep you tuned in to the teams you love. This week we're going to go outside of the norm and away from college sports because last Sunday we witnessed arguably the greatest comeback in football history. The New England Patriots defeated the Atlanta Falcons 34-28 at Super Bowl 51 in Houston. Now what makes this game so memorable, you ask? Well, the Falcons went into halftime with a 21-3 lead over the Pats. And midway through the third quarter, they led 28-3. The Falcons had a 99.6% chance to win the game and they blew it. By the way, 28 plus 3 equals 31. And did you know that the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead? Tom Terrific would mount a 25-point comeback for the Patriots to send this game to overtime for the first time in Super Bowl history. New England special teams captain Matthew Slater went out for the coin toss and called heads because, and I quote, "It's a Slater family tradition," close quote. The Patriots won the toss and drove 75 yards down the field for a James White touchdown to secure the 5th Super Bowl in franchise history. Now we're going to go ahead and bring out the rest of the panel, and we have a few familiar faces back with us this week. On my right, Eddie Cotton, and on my left, Lydia Knoll. So we've just given the description of what happened at Super Bowl 51. It was one of the most insane finishes in football history. Eddie, I'll start with you. Is it the best Super Bowl in history?
Yeah, pretty much. It's hard to argue that it wasn't. The biggest comeback ever in the Super Bowl prior to that was 11 points. And that was a 25-point comeback. That's not your regular comeback. That's Tom Brady proving and establishing his legacy as the greatest quarterback of all time. Bill Belichick establishing himself as the greatest coach of all time. Clearly, it's the most impressive Super Bowl I've ever seen.
See, for me, I feel like it's the best Super Bowl finish of all time. There's no doubt about that. I don't know if I would call it the best Super Bowl just because in the first half, it was boring. Like I said, it was 21-3 going into half. I started falling asleep a little bit. It just wasn't fun. But it was a great finish. Lydia, how do you feel about this? Best Super Bowl in history?
I would agree with Eddie. Not only was it the best comeback that we've seen, but the fact that it went into an overtime for the first time ever in Super Bowl history, I think that's another element that makes it one of the greatest games. The first half, totally agreeable, was boring. But the second half was anything but boring.
Yeah, the last 7 MVPs to go into the Super Bowl did not win, so that gave a little bit of the context from Matt Ryan, as he was the NFL MVP this year. But one play really led to that final game-winning drive. It was Julian Edelman making the absolute most insane catch I think I've ever seen in Super Bowl history around 3 Falcons. I want to ask you guys, what do you think the best Super Bowl catch of all time is? Because in the past 10 years, we've had a pretty good amount of them.
It was an impressive catch. It was pretty good. Wasn't better than David Tyree catching it on a helmet. Wasn't more important, I think. Julian Edelman's catch was great. Plenty of athleticism, plenty of strength. Great job making that adjustment to get to the ball late on that play. But David Tyree literally caught a football on his helmet. That's something I've never seen before. And the fact that he caught it in the Super Bowl, setting up what would be the game-winning drive to stop the undefeated Patriots, that's impressive.
Yeah, I know. We got into a heated argument about this last Super Bowl Sunday, and it got intense because, I mean, there's just so many good catches. Of course, you can make the case for David Tyree. And who is David Tyree? That's also what makes the catch incredible. No one knows who he is. And Julian Edelman, there was just so much composure to make that catch. There's also been the Santonio Holmes catch against the Arizona Cardinals in the Super Bowl to win it, and a few other ones. Lydia, what's your take on this?
I'd have to go with the Jermaine Kearse one, Seahawks-Patriots, Super Bowl 46. I think he's literally falling on the ground. It bounces off a leg, bounces off another leg. He spins around on the ground and manages to hold on to it the whole time. I still think, although the helmet catch is impressive, that catch was also incredible.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they don't talk about the Jermaine Kearse catch because the Seahawks ended losing that Super Bowl. So I feel like whenever there's a great catch made, people remember it a little bit, but they don't really give it the full context of it. Julio Jones made a couple of insane catches, also some of the best Super Bowl catches that have ever happened. But Eddie, do you think that the context behind the catch makes it more important because Santonio Holmes' catch came in the final minute and it was a touchdown to win the game, and David Tyree's was on the final drive? Do you think that the context is very important in this decision?
Every play that we saw could have happened in any moment, but they happened in the Super Bowl and they resulted in a win. There is a certain mental factor that comes into making these huge plays. David Tyree had to be clutch. You have to be clutch to make those catches. So there's a reason that Julio Jones' catches probably going to get forgotten. I won't care about it in about 2 weeks, but I will care completely about Julian Edelman's because the Patriots won the greatest Super Bowl of all time. So that catch matters.
Yeah, Julio Jones, he made the great catches. Lydia?
Yeah, I have to say also I think of Malcolm Butler's catch at the 1-yard line when the Seahawks decided to pass it instead of run it into the touchdown. They had the chance to win, but again, the context of that play, even though it wasn't necessarily a crazy, incredible catch, the fact that it was an interception at that time and ended the game makes it an awesome moment, I think, in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, I didn't even think about defensive catches like that. You bring up a good point. I mean, Malcolm Butler was the same thing. It was to win the Super Bowl, same context as Santonio Holmes. Personally, for me, I think that the Julian Edelman catch was the best of all time because while he was going after it, the ball was tipped by an Atlanta defender. Julian Edelman's going one way. After he sees it tipped, he has to change direction and go back. And there's 3 defenders around, and the ball is about to fall on the ground, and he catches it by the fingertips, loses it a little bit, then has to catch it again. There was just so much to that, and plus it just amounted to the whole comeback that the Patriots had. And that's something that I think made it great. And there have been a lot of other great championships this past year in the past 365 days, not just Super Bowl 51, but this whole year has been incredible. It all started with the college basketball national championship back in last May, the Final Four, Villanova versus North Carolina, ended on a game-winning shot at the buzzer. Chris Jenkins, he put it away. That's something that's still trying to process through my mind because that was one of the most insane shots I think that we're ever going to see. Then you have the NBA Finals in June, and that went all the way to 7 games. And by the way, did I mention that the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead there?
You did mention that.
Okay, good. Yeah, the Cavaliers, they made a great comeback. LeBron James with one of the most memorable plays in Finals history with that big block of Andre Iguodala on the backboard, and then Kyrie Irving, of course, going to seal it. And then you have the World Series, and that one went the distance as well. The Indians blew a 3-1 lead. The Indians blew a 3-1 lead too. I mean, it's just kind of a trend. The 3-1 numbers, it's just kind of a big thing. But who would have expected the Cubs and the Indians to be playing in the World Series prior to the beginning of the season? I don't think anyone could have predicted that. That went 7 games. Game 7 went into 10 innings. The Cubs, of course, won. Then the College Football National Championship, a rematch between Alabama and Clemson, came down to the final seconds where Hunter Renfrow had to make a catch to secure the win for Clemson and defeat the dynasty that is Alabama. So, Lydia, I'll start with you. What is the best championship game of the past year?
Oh, that is a hard one. Being a football fan, I got to go with the Bama-Clemson game. And I think the fact that it was a rematch of these 2 powerhouse schools, Bama being the winningest school in the program, to see them fall like that in such a close competition, not only is heartbreaking for some of those fans, but makes it such an exciting game.
Eddie?
I think when you look at the greatest championship game, you have to look at every single play. Not just the last one, not just the buzzer beater, not just the game-winning touchdown. Look at every single play and what game kept you watching the entire time. Villanova-UNC was entertaining from the very first moment because both teams were completely on their game. You saw UNC take an early lead, up 7.5, but both playing remarkably competitively, and both teams playing defense, which is not something you can say about every college basketball game. And then that late buzzer beater. It was just a complete coaching battle between 2 coaches, battle between each position. Every moment was important in that game. And to have it come down to the last final shot, that was the greatest championship game. Yeah,
Game 7 of the Finals and Game 7 of the World Series, they were incredible games, but I don't think they amount to the same stature, if you will, that the national championship in college basketball came to, and the college football national championship. I already made my case. I don't think that this year's Super Bowl was the best in history. I think that it was the best finish in history, but I don't think that it was the best Super Bowl overall. Eddie, I think I agree with you in the fact that the national championship between North Carolina and Villanova was the best. Because, I mean, especially in the final seconds, Marcus Page, he had that double clutch 3 to tie the game up, and everyone thought, wow, this is going to go into overtime. This is insane. And then Ryan Arcidiacono drives down the court. He gives that little back pass to Chris Jenkins, makes the buzzer-beating 3. They even practiced that. Like, that's something that they practiced, which kind of made it more phenomenal in my sense. And it was just fantastic. It's been a great year in sports. Hopefully that continues this year. And I also have to mention Leicester City winning the Premier League title. Beat 5,000 to 1 odds. I mean, who would have predicted something like that? A lot of people were happy, especially all the gamblers out there. That's going to wrap everything up for us this week. Be sure to continue the discussion on our Twitter page and on Facebook at IUSTV Sports. You can always give any suggestions for the show and ask any questions you might have. Toss it up. Find out if we'll catch it. Stay sweet, and we'll see you next week.